Happy New Year! I wanted to share with you the best books that I read in 2023 and also use that as an excuse to show off my brand new background that I put together. I want to just go ahead and jump into it because I'm going to talk a little bit about the books and I don't want the video to be long for both your sake and mine. There's not like a set in stone ranking with these, but they're kind of in order. My absolute favorites are kind of more towards the beginning of this video, and then the ones that I enjoyed, would still recommend, but are probably not entirely 5-star reads, are a little bit more towards the end. If I had to pick a number one, it would probably be the Daughter of the Pirate King series that I read this year. This is the second book, I am aware, Daughter of the Siren Queen, but I am specifically collecting this very pretty edition. I have the second one and the third one that just came out this November, or last November, I guess, November 2023. I would say that my favorite book that I read in 2023 was the first book of this series. I very rarely give books 5 stars, and I gave the first book 5 stars. I think I gave the second one 4 stars. All throughout 2023, I was recommending this series to every person that would like this kind of genre. The number one reason, though, why I love this book series is the main character is so well written, and she was legitimately strong and independent. Like the main character, Alosa, she is half siren. Her mother was a siren, and then her father is a pirate king. That's not a spoiler, those are literally the titles of the book. Balancing and discovering all these amazing abilities that she has because of her siren half. She's just really badass. What can I say? I would highly recommend this series, especially if you love like pirates and sirens want to drown and kill men. It's just how I like them, okay? In picking which book would take the honor of my favorite read of the whole year, one that really came close and I actually kind of debated if that was my favorite read or not is Bloodmarked. This is the second book in a series. I also read the first one this year, but I would definitely say the second one was my favorite. The next book is not out yet. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series, but I have a lot of hope actually with this that the author will continue to get better and better with each book. Basically, the main character's mom dies in a car crash, but she starts to sense that maybe that's not the whole story, that there has to be something more surrounding her mom's death. And then as she goes to college soon after, she starts seeing things and discovering things that really just progress that thought of, okay, there's definitely something more going on here and I have to figure out what it is. It is set in modern times, but there is magic in this book. So I don't have the physical books because I actually listened to both of them on Audible. I do want to get hardback copies of those, and I've really only managed to find paperback, so I'm still looking. Both of those books were so good that I could not stop listening to them. Like every waking thought was, I want to be listening to this book. I want to be reading this book. I'm really excited about book number 3. It was actually the most recent book that I read, the last book that I read of 2023, and it is a Star Wars book. It's called Lost Stars. There's actually a second copy back here. Cal Kestis is kind of hiding it, but this is actually my copy. This is a friend's copy. I really wanted to get into reading more Star Wars books. I've tried them, okay? I've tried the Padme series, the Queen's Shadow, I've tried Thrawn, I've tried Heir to the Empire. They were okay, but I didn't really get into them. I didn't feel like I was adding anything to my Star Wars obsession, if that makes sense. But that being said, with me having that preface of it is really hard for me to get into Star Wars books despite my love for Star Wars, this is one of my favorite books I've ever read. And it is absolutely my favorite Star Wars book. Oh my god, I'm so obsessed with it. My next Star Wars read is gonna be by Claudia Gray because I love this book so much. I'm like, okay, if I want to keep being into Star Wars books, maybe I need to stick with this author. Set in Empire timeline, right before A New Hope. Actually, some of the book's events take place alongside New Hope, without giving spoilers away. Basically about the two main characters, Sienna and Thane. They were childhood best friends, and they were both kind of brainwashed by the Empire at a very young age. And so when they get older, their dreams are to be pilots for the Empire. And so they join the Empire, and it is not at all what they think it's gonna be. And they kind of wake up to reality pretty quickly. The main focus of this is kind of the Empire versus the Rebellion. How you can serve an empire that is doing evil things and how it can kind of trick you into justifying your actions. It's so easy to paint the bad guys of the story, or the empire in this specific case, as like, oh, they're just a bunch of soulless monsters. But no, like they were real people and they had like friendships and families, and there were things that happened that made them justify what was going on. It's a really good book, and I highly recommend this, especially if you love Star Wars. If you read in 2023, or heck, even if you lived in 2023, this book was in every video. It was either loved or hated. I know what you're about to say. Fourth Wing. This book is so widely talked about that I don't feel like I need to sell it. You're either gonna read it or you're not. Instead of just talking about the book, I'll talk about my experience with it. I did read Iron Flame. I read Iron Flame the day it came out. I do like Iron Flame, but Fourth Wing was better. I'm just gonna be honest. Fourth Wing, I was addicted throughout this book. Particularly with Iron Flame, it was just kind of shaky, and you know, there was a lot of times where I was just like, what are you guys doing? Why are you mad at each other? Like, no spoilers. I'm really not gonna spoil the books in this video, but Fourth Wing, I liked a lot. I really did. This was a 5-star book for me, which again, don't give out 5 stars a lot. Will be continuing to read the rest of the series. I didn't hate the second book, I just liked the first one more. So the next one, Don't Call Me Late on the Train, Six of Crows. I really enjoyed this book. I did start reading it because I had watched the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix. I hadn't heard of the series at all, actually, until the TV show came out. I'm really sad that it was canceled. I watched the series first, okay, and then I read the Shadow and Bone book, just the first one, and I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe one day I will get through the Shadow and Bone series, but it is definitely not on my priorities list by any means. Six of Crows, though, read it, loved it, can't wait to read Crooked Kingdom. And I do think that reading the book gave me better context for the TV show, because there were some things that happened with the crows in the TV show that I was confused about, probably because it's not actually on the same timeline. And the book really just like cleared that up for me. It's made the relationships of the characters a little bit more defined. Those are my thoughts. Once again, no physical book for this one. I listened to it on Audible. Once I find a version of the series that I like the covers for, I will buy the whole series, okay? In the meantime, I will just continue to listen to the rest of the series on Audible. Throne of Glass, again, heard about this book all the time online. Don't call me out for being a little late on it, but I really, really enjoyed it. I think I gave the book 4 stars, I believe. I read ACOTAR, the whole thing. I'm all caught up. I did that, and then I was going to try to decide between Throne of Glass and Crescent City. Believe it or not, I was actually going to do Crescent City next. And then I was watching another YouTube video about somebody talking about Throne of Glass, and the way that they described the love interests made me go, I think I'm gonna read that one. And the main character too. This is another case similar to Daughter of the Pirate Queen, where the main character actually seems really strong and independent, and it's not like overly forced. She's not annoying. Well, now we get to talk about something that for several months consumed my every waking thought. It didn't take me several months to read it. I got through it fairly quickly. Daisy Jones and the Six. I love the style this was written in. I also have on my bookshelf that you can't see because it's a few shelves down, but Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's pretty high up on my TBR for this year. I did read this book because I was made aware of it from the TV show. I became so obsessed with that TV show. I've watched it multiple times. I like bought the album that they have that came out alongside the show. Like I was so obsessed with Daisy Jones and the Six. I was in an airport, saw not this copy of the book because this is a very special edition that I have, saw a paperback version in an airport and was like, I need to read this. And what I love about this too is that since you are getting it from different perspectives, it makes you wonder like, is that really what happened? You know, because so-and-so said something different, so one of you is lying. These were not all the books I read in 2023, obviously. These were just my favorites. And so, you know, when a book is good and it's always recommended to me, you're not wrong, okay? This is a pretty old series, but the Selection series I started this year, and my favorite is The Elite, which is the second book in the series. The overarching story of what is going on was established in the first book, which is the prince of their kingdom needs a bride. 35 like provenances in this kingdom, and so 35 girls are selected randomly, although is it really random, simultaneously date this prince, and then he will send them home as he decides that they're not the ones for him. It's been narrowed down to what is considered the elite, which is kind of like the top tier girls. But there's rules to the selection too, like you can't have any other romantic connections while you're dating the prince. And let's just say she does. It's actually one that was a part of the free catalog that is included with an Audible membership, and it really surprised me, okay? It was called The Stand-In. I was like in an airport and just like wanting to listen to something because I think I had already like finished my book that I had used my credit for that month. Oh, well, this is free. This looks really cute, because the premise of it, the main character gets approached because she is a pretty good lookalike for this celebrity. She just wants some time away from the media. She will pay the main character to make public appearances and pretend to be her. But that means that she has to like study everything about this movie star and know like how she talks, her mannerisms. She speaks another language. They kind of like come up with an excuse of, oh, she's saying that she's like practicing her English and that's why she's only speaking in English in interviews kind of stuff. But you know, she still has to be able to understand other people with as many minimal people as possible knowing that this is happening. I thought that that would just be like a cute little fun book to read, and surprisingly it was more than I expected. There's also like a lot of stuff going on because one of the reasons why she even took the job in the first place is because her mom is in like an assisted living. She wants to be able to afford better care for her. It was pretty deep and there was a lot more going on for such a fun premise, and so it really surprised me and I really enjoyed it. The last book that I don't have a physical copy of, and also one of the last books that I read of 2023, Where Dreams Descend, I decided would be my last audiobook of 2023 because it gave me winter vibes. It was pitched as if you like Phantom of the Opera and also something else. I will say, actually reading the book, I can see the inspiration. The main character, while I would say more independent than Christine, I love Christine, don't get me wrong, the main character is a little bit more opinionated, more assertive, and more independent than Christine is. There's nothing wrong with characters like Christine, I'm just saying like that's where they differ. It took me a minute for it to click into place because the Ral-esque character doesn't get introduced until a little bit later, but once I was sitting there I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. The main character is also a showgirl, granted in a different way than Christine is. It's actually not super evidently Phantom because it wasn't until very explicit, like not explicit, but it was until like very specific moments throughout the book series that I was like, oh yeah, this is a Phantom retelling. I don't normally give things half stars, but 3.5 feels better to me than giving it a 3 or a 4, because like I said, I did enjoy it. It's on this list. But it's kind of at the bottom here. It was very enjoyable and I do want to read the second one, but the first one definitely felt like a lot of setup. Like I was kind of waiting for the shoot drop. Yeah, that's Where Dreams Descend. Thank you for listening to my rambling. I'm gonna conclude it here because I don't know if you're keeping track or not, but I actually just gave you 10 books, my top 10. I read some really good books last year and I'm hoping to only read more in 2024. This is my year of saving. It's also going to be my year of demolishing my TBR. I can't wait to do more book content on this channel and share with you books that I loved and also books that I absolutely hated. Whoo, I could talk about those for hours. Please let me know what your top books are. Yes, of 2023, but also that you've read in general. You can add to my never-ending TBR. See if I get to your book this year. And I pretty much only read fiction. And I do prefer books that are not grounded in reality. Probably need to talk to my therapist about that, but that's what this video is. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2024.